Now, it's not a far stretch. I hear stuff like this going on in our nation, in our valley today. It's stuff like this. Man, Pastor, I am just getting the pudding beat out of me by this economy. And I got to tell you, I'm spent. What does that mean? I'm tired. I'm worn down. Man, I just need a break. Man, if I could just get a vacation under my belt, I'd just be better. I need a vacation. Well, I thought you said you're spent. I thought you said you didn't have any money. Yeah, but I'm thinking about borrowing the money. Well, how are you going to borrow the money? I'm going to put it on my credit card. Put on my credit card. Oh, I'm going to put it on my credit card, and I'm like, well, what's the interest rate on your credit card? 20-something%. Does that sound like a story that we've talked about in the last few minutes? Yeah. And then this is the normal thing that comes right along behind it. Yeah, but I've been watching CNN, and things are going to turn around, and for the most part, I think it's over. The indicators say that it's getting ready to, Does that sound like a story we just read? We don't know when it's going to be over. What do you got to do? Here's what I want you to get. In the midst of a famine, you must be disciplined with your seed. In the midst of a famine, you must protect your seed. In the midst of a famine, you must establish priorities for your seed. In a famine, you avoid borrowing seed and turning it into bread at all costs. At the beginning of 2008, really somewhere around the beginning of 2008 is when we begin to see in our valley and you hear across our nation how the economic famine was beginning to hit. And it was about 2 years ago. And here's what Tammy and I started to do. We started to apply greater discipline and what I would call stricter priorities to our finances, our personal finances, to our seed. Now, there's two things that we did, and I'm going to share that. I'm going to be very vulnerable with you because, and this is the reason I'm doing this. I want to make sure there's no misunderstandings what we did. I want to make sure that you don't have to read between the lines. I'm going to tell you our personal business for a moment. And I'm going to do that because I don't want you to miss it, because this is too important. Because if you miss this, could end up in bondage, and your children's children for way longer than what you intend if you miss this thought. This is important. The first thing we did was we did extra work. We did extra work. Well, how does that work? Well, we did extra consulting. And not in our congregation, in our church. I consult with churches around the country and around the world. And I go to those churches that are having difficulties and needs, and they compensate me, my travel, and they almost always give me, not always, but almost always give me some kind of blessing or gift for doing that. I don't charge, but they give, and it shall be given. It always works like that in the kingdom of God. And so there's extra consulting that I did. There's things that I've written several books, a couple books. And one of the things that I've done as we pastor this church was I kind of laid down the whole author side of my life. But when this famine hit, I picked it back up. And one of the beauties of the internet today is you don't have to print out $50,000 worth of flyers in the mail, and it's $100,000 to promote your stuff. It's more like a little graphic, a little thing, and click, and 50,000 people now. And next thing you know, I'm selling product of my book, my personal book, that I had not sold in quite a while. I mean, it kind of trickled down because I was pastoring, and all of a sudden it started going back up like this. This week, a person called from Florida and ordered 60 units of my books. 60, just like that. From what? A little email. And I could have just as easily think, well, that's what I used to do, and I really am not into that anymore. No, in a famine, we revisit places we've made money before.